Today we got Larfleeze taking on Gorr the God Butcher. Who wins? Let's find out. Larfleeze was the first being to tap into the Orange Light of Avarice, and is the keeper of the Orange Lantern Corp. The Orange Light has the ability to create Orange Light replicas, or constructs, based upon the identities of those it kills. Since Larfleeze is too greedy to share his rings, he instead uses the ring's ability to create an entire army of Orange Lantern constructs which to face his foes. And his connection to the power battery allows him to maintain the constructs indefinitely, as long as he devotes attention to doing so. He's been able to one-shot Atrocitus, the leader of the Red Lantern Corps, and is powerful enough to defeat, kill, or corrupt Green Lanterns, Controllers, and even Brainiac, and add them to his Orange Lantern Corps. Larfleeze has defeated Hal Jordan, who's arguably the strongest member of the Green Lantern Corps, and overwhelmed Hal even when he had a Green and Blue Lantern ring, and defeat Kyle Rayner, who was channeling the powers of the whole emotional spectrum. Larfleeze is even powerful enough to defeat the Guardians of the Universe, and all the gods in the House of Dwarf Dawn. His lantern constructs are powerful enough to restrain multiple Green Lanterns, even hold back the Guardians. In short, he's one of the most powerful villains in the DC universe, and is arguably the greatest Green Lantern Corps villain ever, even being able to amp his power up to 100,000%. Then, in the corner, Gorr the God Butcher. Gorr is a serial killer of gods, and an enemy of Thor throughout the ages, who has been on a crusade of deicide for over 3,000 years. Before his transformation, Gorr was a fairly weak character with no superpowers. But one day, he stumbled upon All Black the Necrosword, which he found on the body of a dead god. With that weapon, Gorr has strength comparable with Thor, if not greater. After all, he has battled against and overpowered a young Thor, the current Thor that we know, and Skyfather Thor, all at the same time. He's also killed millions of gods, and the more gods that Gorr murders, well, the more powerful he becomes. He's extremely durable, and suffered a god blast from old King Thor that sent him several light years away. Gorr's also fast enough to fly light years in seconds, and he's managed to catch Thor and countless other gods by surprise. All Black the Necrosword is able to manipulate darkness in order to create darkness constructs, and it basically works a whole lot like Green Lantern's energy ring. He can also create armies of creatures that are powerful enough to stalemate gods, and really create anything that he desires, such as a new arm, weapons, armor, towers, and he's even covered both a planet and a sun in darkness. So, who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, both of these villains are incredibly powerful, and this would make for one incredibly well-matched and even fight. And when I say Gorr and Larfleeze are powerful, I mean arguably more powerful than Thanos and Darkseid, or on a Skyfather level. They really are insanely powerful. But who's more powerful? Well, that's kind of the ultimate question here. And these are relatively more obscure characters, who some people might not have heard of. So let's do a real deep dive into just what these villains have done, and just how powerful they truly are. So, who is Gorr the God Butcher? Well, Gorr was a humble alien, living on a barren world with his family. However, unlike his tribe, Gorr had little faith in the gods, and after his family died, he lost it altogether, just absolutely lost it. And one day, he got lucky, as two gods fell from the sky right in front of him, impaled on each other's weapons, one god golden and the other black. Enraged at discovering that gods existed and had allowed his family to die, Gorr took up the dark god's weapon and killed them both. Thus, Gorr was reborn as the god Butcher. Wielding the Necker sword, Gorr went on to put untold pantheons of gods to the slaughter. He was able to kill a mountain-sized god who wrestled black holes just for fun, with the smallest black holes being supposedly 3 times as dense as the sun. He's killed an elder god and stole its heart, with elder gods usually being portrayed as higher than Skyfather beings, and include the likes of Sidorak and Agamotto. Then there's this fight against 3 Thors at once: the young Thor, Avengers Thor that we all know and love, and old King Thor, who was the Thor Force, and he himself said that he was more powerful than Odin. So, old King Thor is easily a Skyfather level being. And in their fight, Gorr was able to restrain all 3 versions of Thor, and went on to break up and throw massive chunks of a moon at them. Gorr also showed a remarkable level of durability in their fight, being sent crashing into a moon, taking multiple planet-shattering strikes, and basically wasn't phased, and took a god blast head-on from old King Thor that sent him hurtling across the universe, many times the speed of light, until it crash-landed into a moon. He even went on to fight and beat the Thor trio in the core of a star, without being injured, and survived being thrown into a black hole, actually outlasted the lifespan of that black hole. And Gorr doesn't just have to fight a physical fight, but he can use the Necker sword in a plethora of different ways. He can quickly create constructs out of darkness, ranging from swords and the weapons to tendrils and whips, to literally creating a whole army of monsters of darkness called Black Berserkers. One time, he was even able to create an entire planet in order to imprison millions of gods. And another time, Gorr's power was enough to cover an entire star and turn it dark, proving that his planet's creation is just a small piece for him. And even outside of Gorr, the Necker sword is incredibly powerful in its own right. I mean, when Thor wielded the sword, he became the god of butchers, Necro-Thor, an eater of world eaters, going on to beat and nearly kill Galactus in just 3 moves. And before that, Thor didn't stand a chance. And when the sword joined up with Galactus, more accurately took over Galactus, he transformed him into the Butcher of Worlds. But the question is Gorr powerful enough to take on and beat Larfleeze? Well, that raises the question, just how strong is Larfleeze? Well, he's actually a really interesting character, because he's strong and powerful on 2 different fronts. The guy's main gimmick is that he's an entire Lantern Corp stored inside his ring, and he can unleash it at a moment's notice, with the members of the Corps being constructs under his control. And we all know how powerful an entire Lantern Corps can be, so just imagine what they can do under one singular person's control. And since his core members of the Corps are just avatars that he creates, he can instantly recreate them once they die or fall in battle. He doesn't have to be there to be in a fight, but can actually fight even if he's miles away from the battlefield. He's even went out and attacked planets and battled against blue lanterns while he was just sitting back on his home planet. And if that wasn't enough, the second way that Larfleeze is incredibly powerful is because of the fact that he can reabsorb his entire core into himself, amping his power to kinda ridiculous levels. Like, a normal Green Lantern can amp his power rating up to 100%, which makes sense, considering 100% is kinda the cap for most everything. Well, Larfleeze is a living power battery and can amp himself up to 100,000%. And because of this, the guy's done things like overwhelming the Guardians of the Universe. They literally couldn't match his energy output. He overpowered Kyle Rayner, even while Kyle was channeling the entire emotional spectrum. He overpowered Hal Jordan when Hal was wearing both green and blue lantern rings. And at his highest, he's actually been able to take on both the Green Lantern Corps and the Guardians of the Universe at the same time. And he didn't even lose that fight. He just came to a certain understanding with the Guardians. He's even defeated a being known as the Lord of the Hunt, who is a being from another universe, where he had killed every living thing in that universe. He's also got a tendency to steal an opponent's soul, adding them to his own core, and he's even done this with a Guardian of the Universe before. Larfleeze is also going to be going all out in this fight, because he's essentially the very embodiment of greed. And once he learns that there's something called All Black the Necro Sword, he's gonna want it. However, I don't think he's enough power to consistently beat Gorr. For starters, he's not going to steal Gorr's soul and possess him, because for all intents and purposes, Gorr is already possessed by the sword. And this sword is powerful enough to possess and take over Galactus. And fighting against and beating old King Thor, while beating two other Thors at the same time, has got to be more impressive than battling against the Guardians of the Universe. I mean, old King Thor stated himself that he was more powerful than Odin, with Odin being powerful enough to shatter galaxies, shake the very fabric of the multiverse. He shook the 9 realms, and he's knocked out Galactus before. And the Guardians themselves aren't on that power level. A single Guardian had to kill himself to dump Superboy Prime's atoms into the multiverse. And when all of them fought a weakened Anti-Monitor, they still couldn't beat him. Even Hal Jordan alone was able to blow a hole through Krona, a Guardian. Plus, Gorr has killed millions of gods throughout the years, implying that he has enough power and experience to defeat Larfleeze. It would be a great fight, and Larfleeze could claim a few victories, but I have to give the ultimate victory to Gorr. Gorr the God Butcher wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sign off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe button. More videos just one every single day. And I will see you next time.